I'm going to watch my bus compressor. My bus compressor is going to tell me exactly where I need to be. All right. This is how I measure my drums and my kick to stay in line with what I'm trying to do. All right. This is a certain way that I do it. Everybody don't do it like this, because sometimes you can put a meter on there and do the same thing. You can. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm beating up the fader, as you can see. So now let's back off of it. So so I want the compression, the bus compressor just touching ever so slightly on that kick. All right. Now what I want to do is, let's go before. All right, now let's go back to our EQ and let's make some minor adjustments. All right, let's roll it all the way back by right there. Now, I wanted to take a little bit more weight off. Now, let's look at our bus compressor. All right, so now that's too much. So let's bring it back. All right, now let's go up here. And let's roll off just a little. All right, now that's our kick. So let's hear the kick with everything else.
Investing your music. Investing your music.
You see how that how it's hitting better now? Sitting in the mix a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do is commit that back into the system because I like the way that sounds. All right. So as I'm committing this back, what this is doing, all of the processing that I just done to the kick is actually putting it on the kick. All right. And it's deactivating the track with the actual processing on it, with the plugins on it. That way I won't be using unnecessary resources and taking up unnecessary CPU, which means now I can use more plugins or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The computer processes better. All right, so now let's see.
Investing your music. Investing your music.
All right, now my snare. I want that snare to be popping. All right, now, so what I want to do with the snare, I want to use the same. I will use the SSL, but I want to use the Neve because the Neve giving me a certain type of characteristics that I'm looking for out of the preamp section it is. So the SSL is a little bit more cleaner. The Neve is a little bit more grittier. All right, let's see. Preamp.
Your music.
Gain stage.
Investing your music.
All right, now same rules apply. Hit it with a gate, make it tighter. Fast release. Range all the way up. Another useful thing about a gate, I used to be very heavy-handed with reverb. All right, so I used to put a lot of reverb on my snares. And the thing about reverb is it sounds good, but you can overdo it and make the track sound washy. All right. It can wash out a track or make whatever you putting it on or applying it to, it can sit it back in the mix. All right. So, for instance, if you want a vocal to stand out in the mix, okay, which is what we want. If that's the key element of the song, you want which is if it does have vocals, that's the key element of the song. You want them to sit up front. So if you drown them with reverb or certain delays or something that gives it like a reverb or a tail or some type of sustain to it or space, it can kind of sit it back. It can drown it out. So a useful thing that you can use, like I said, I used to do my snares like that or some of my drum elements. I used to put a lot of reverb on it. In this case, not so much. And I don't really think I used any reverb on this one. I used it dry. I let it be dry. But for instance, like the tail on this snare, I can chop it off. See how I made it a little bit more tighter? All right, that's the gate. All right, so now that made it a little tighter. All right. And then it closed once it, like a gate, once it's not anything going through it or triggering a threshold. So now what I want to do is I want to add some compression to it. Once again, same steps. And I don't want to add much because I already pre-processed this as far as compression and EQ in battery. All right. Same thing as I did with on my hardware synths and the melody. I had already processed that from the mixing console. So let's dial in about 1.5 on the threshold. I mean on the ratio as far as compression, and let's dial in our threshold. All right. All right, just 1 dB of gain reduction, not too much because I already processed it. And then put it back. Before. And it actually glued both of the snares together because the side snare, which is the kick, the side snare right there, that was a little bit louder than the main snare. So by using this compression, it actually glued them together and made it to where they're the same level. Just by controlling the peaks up here, just by 1 dB of gain reduction. Not much. And actually, I'm going to bring it back up. Do about 2. All right. And then I got a fast release where hurry up and get out the way. So before, after, a little bit more. All right, now let's play the drum track together.
Invest in your music.
All right, let's add a little bit more air to our snare. And I'm gonna boost high again. I like to boost high for the simple fact when I'm adding air or treble or some type of clarity or silk to any track, I like to boost high. Even if I had to go all the way up here to 18K, 16K, whatever. The reason being for that, because if you boost at 8K or 6K or 7K, it's going to make it more of a piercing sound, a resonant type of sound, or a very, a sharp sound is going to be kind of irritating. All right. It's not going to be as clear. It's going to be harsher. So I like to boost higher up the frequency spectrum. All right. When I'm adding air to something, because it doesn't be as harsh, it'd be more smooth and more like silk and more like a feel, like energy versus you actually, giving it air. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this snare a little bit air at about 13K. And we're going to try it at a bell curve, see what that sounds like. I actually like the shelving better, all right? Because it give me all of the top all the way to 13K versus just boosting 13K, which is kind of at a bell, is kind of making it a little piercing a little bit. All right. So now let's play it in context.
Investing your music. Investing your music. Investing your music.
You're probably wondering, like, why are you not using this fader? Because I don't want to mess with the harmonic distortion that's going on in the actual channel. So I will go to the output section, all right, where it's complete solid state and it's not going to mess with the processing. All right. What it's going to do is it's going to transparently take away and attenuate the sound or remove, increase or decrease in a transparent way, because this is just complete solid state right here. All right. Versus this here, if I boost or bring this down, then now you're affecting the semi emulation that's built into it, because it's an emulation of an actual Neve console, all right, mixing console. I don't want to do that. I want to get all of this harmonic distortion from the fader, from everything, all the processing I got going on. Okay. Which saying -9 up here, which is on a console like this, will sound beautiful. All right. It's the plug in. So just imagine what the console would sound, the actual real console would sound like. All right. All right. So now that sounds good. Now let's add our EQ to roll off those lower frequencies. Even though it's a snare, it still has those lower frequencies in them. And you have to watch it. You have to be careful and pay attention and monitor that. So let's play just the snare. Look at all that. That's everything from 60 hertz and below. You see what I'm saying? And then it's picking up some boop, boop, some boxiness at about 188, something like that hertz. 188 hertz, 180 hertz, something like that. So what I'm going to do is I want to keep it the same sound. All right. So I don't want to color the sound. I want that same sound, but I want to just attenuate that. And once again, if I use a Pro Tools EQ or a dynamic EQ, that's going to add color and it's going to kind of alter the sound. And you could get phase issues. All right. Now you see how I rolled all of that off? Now let's bring it back a little bit. Do about 160. Yeah. Now see, I could start messing with my Q. And that will roll it. That will give me a little bit more of the body, just a little bit back. and then go over more. You know what I'm saying? It'll be more broadly, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to make a sharp cue because I don't want any of that lower frequency in there. And I'm actually going to get rid of some of this 500. So we already have it set at 500. We're going to make this very sharp and we're going to attenuate that at 500. Let's move it over. Get our 500. And you see how it still sound the same. It's just controlled. That's the difference between using a linear phase EQ and a dynamic or a passive EQ or something like that. Those EQs add color. So whenever you attenuating or want to boost something intentionally without adding color, get you a linear phase EQ. All right. So now let's process this. What I roll it off by 150. Now let's process this. Let's hear it with the track. Rest of the track.
Invest in your music.
All right, now let's put that back in there. Just print it back. Bam. So we're freeing up our processing now. We're putting the process on the track. All of the processing that we did on the track, and we bypassing it and hiding it, freeing up CPU space. All right. Your computer actually process better and work better when it's not overworked or being overworked. Please understand that. All right. So now let's hear our drums all together.
Invest in your music. Invest in your music. Invest in your music.
All right. Get that percussion part together right quick.
Invest in your music.
All right. So our drums are actually sounding good now to me. All right. So now what I want to do, start just, putting shit together now. Adding that DJ Rob sauce on it, that RemakeGuru sauce on that mother. On that son of a gun, boy. Alright, now. So now, those drums sounding like I like them. Alright, let's get this together. Make it a little brighter. Sound like some African shit. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more pressure. All right. I love that gate. That gate make everything. I'm telling you, it just make everything sit in its own space in its own pocket. You can adjust it however you want to your liking, but it's very, 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 very useful. All right, now same thing, same rules apply. I'm going with a linear phase. Any one. I mean, this is the one that I got right now, but shit. If I had that damn Pro Q, Fab Filter Pro Q, that's the one that I would be dealing with. I would have it in linear phase times 4, all the way up to times 4. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is dial this in. On the little bottom on it, not much. All right, now let's see where it's sounding a little bit more boom, boom, like boxy at. Let me see where we at. You hear it. That's what two. That's about 300. Yeah. So about 300. Let's get rid of that. All right. Very sharp. Open it up a little bit more for a couple more frequencies. A little bit more. Let's see exactly what I said. That's 287. Before. You know what I'm saying? It actually gave it more clarity. All right, so now I know if I roll this off a little bit more, as far as do one of these numbers, that will make it a little bit. See, but I'm still getting some lower frequencies. I probably don't have to do that much. And then what it'll do is kind of shave this off a little bit. All right. We only want to round it off. It's all about balance. You don't want nothing to be sticking out too much. You know what I'm saying? Even though this sound is producing that type of sound, this is what that's supposed to do. But it was a little bit too dominant, so I just took away just a little bit, not too much. Let's see, we'll go to about, what else it say? About 250. Go about 2. And just take about. That's enough. Now let's see. Let's roll off a little bit more, just a bit more. All right. A little bit more. All right, so that's cool. Now before. See how it's a little bit more cleaner. That's gonna fit in the mix better. Now let's hear. Already got just put a little reverb on it. Just so I can glue it with all the tracks. Even though I got a little bit of reverb on it already, I'm gonna put just a bit of reverb. I'm gonna send a little bit of reverb to it in the session for the simple fact, whatever I'm using reverb on in the session, when I lock the whole reverb unit with it, it like kind of glue everything together because you're using the same reverb. If that makes sense. You back off of it just a little bit, not much. All right.
Testing your music.
Now I can print that back in. All right. And it's just that simple, man. It's just that simple. And now let's hear it with the rest of the track.
Testing your music. Testing your music.
Yeah. Yeah, see what I'm saying? Them drums has got to stand out. They got to. They got to. You know what I'm saying? Let's check our meters. Yeah. They sounding pretty good. Looking pretty good too. Pretty balanced. That's how it should be. Got a lot of the mud out. That's why it's a dip in this area. So now, check our mix bus. All right, now our mix bus looking good. Now let's get our melody together. All right, I already kind of pre-processed this, so I'm just going to engage it. All right, first thing I did to this synth bass was added some compression. Remember, the synth bass I used a Pro Tools plug-in, a Pro Tools VST. All right, so it didn't really have that thick fullness sound to it, all like that or whatever. But anyway, I liked it, the sound. So what I did was to kind of emulate a hardware synth or throw some dirt on it or make it a little richer. I ran it through a tube compressor emulation of a tube compressor. All right, very transparent tube compressor. All right, found the setting, a bass setting. All right, the reason why I like this bass setting is not because of the output, which I had to readjust because it was at 3.5, and the threshold was at about 0 or just under 0, about -5 or so. All right, you have to adjust that to your, to the sound. As far as the threshold, the gain, the ratio, by it being a bass, it sounds good. By it being a bass instrument, you like a little bit distortion on it. Distortion is like a key effect right now in modern music. All right, I don't care what type of music it is. Most modern music, rock, hip hop, R&B, pop music, they even use the distortion on vocals now. So, but anyway, my case with this compressor was to kind of warm up this synth bass and make it sit up a little bit more and control it. All right. So when it get to the highest parts or the peaks, uh, I like the way that bass preset that they have was set to like a high medium ratio, fast medium ratio. I mean, release. All right. So which is a 2 millisecond release and a fast, like a medium fast attack on it. So here we go. About 4 milliseconds. All right. So now let's get entangled in my words. Let's do before. All right. Now there we go. Now you see how you just brought it up just a little bit. Very settled. See what I'm saying? Before. Now see when it got loud, it got all the way up to 1 dB as far as on the attenuation. All right. So that's because of this attack and release setting. Man, that's a dog tack release, a sweet tack and release setting for a bass. Synth bass or a bass guitar. I done tried a few different things on them. And all I have to do is adjust, the ratio to my liking, which is how much compression I want, and my threshold and my gain. You know what I'm saying? As far as my makeup gain, to make sure I'm gain staging properly. All right, now I wanted to give it a little bit more presence. And I did that with this SSL EQ. Basically adding a little bit more compression. Another gate, okay, to kind of make it a little tighter. And it's supposed to add some type of harmonic distortion to it too. Or some type of summing. Because it's a console emulation. Mixing console emulation. So now let's hear it. See what I'm saying? So now we want to print that back in there. All right. So as we print that back in there, we got our synth bass sounding exactly how we want our synth bass to sound. This is very, very important. Very, very important. What's good with y'all though, man? We live from the mothership. You know what it is. About to roll up some of this funky, some of them good green. So when I get off the air. All right, now let's look at our synth bass. All right, so now our lower piano, we want to kind of bring that up a bit too and give it a little bit more definition, a little bit more presence. I kind of did that already. I have a beautiful setting right here, a plug-in preset for this SSL channel. It's called General Purpose that I created. And it's basically just attenuating some of the lows at about 80 hertz, 90 hertz. Boosted at 10K at a bell, giving it some presence at the high mids at about 2K. All right, and giving it a little bit, let's bring it up about 1.55 instead of 1.5. That's just giving it a little bit of bite, a little bit more presence. All right. So now, let's see. All right, so now that sounds good. Let's do it before. After. You know what I'm saying? Very simple. That's once again because I had already pre-processed it, so it didn't take that much. All I'm doing now is just shaping. So we'll print that back. All right. Then we'll go to the next sound. You have to get each sound sounding a certain type of a way. All right. I had already processed this. All right. So I don't need that much. That's enough. All right. Let's hear it.
Invest in your music.
All right. Let's hear it. Actually, I'll take this off because that can fuck with the phase too. All right. Now, sending this some reverb. Let's commit that back into the system. All right, now I didn't do no processing to that, but I did do processing to this. So let's activate that. As you can see, I'm still using the gate, and we're expander. Even on something like acoustic guitar. You know what I'm saying? It's just adding a certain type of feel to it, and motion and movement. All right, so now our string. Put our processing on our string, which was already processed, pre-processed. You see, I boosted real high on the top. Let's go before, after. Just wanted to make it stand out just a little bit more. All right, so now I can print all of this back in. Print all this back in. Got all this sound how we want to. And once again, if it's something that I don't like, I can go right back and pull it up and reprocess it. Just that simple. All right, let's get this flute together right quick. I did do some processing to this flute. I made it a little bit more cleaner. Now let's play everything together. Okay, so this is kind of building up a bit. So let's get this together. I don't want it that dominant or that present, so we ain't doing no boosting. No boosting. But I am doing some expanding, and I'm rolling off some of that bottom. About 120. Where it won't get muddy. All right, now, before. See how I just controlled. It just take the weight off of it. All right, now let's print that back in. And we have our tracks processed. Yay. Yeah, it's a long workflow, but hey, that's why we charge by the hour. It's well worth it.